Hi guys, I'm Alyssa. Welcome to Odyssey and Reading. So I don't know about you, but I really like reading the classics. Despite the fact that The Great Gatsby is a highly acclaimed book, it is on so many people's list of favorite classics. I've never read it, so in this video I'll be reading this book, sharing my thoughts, and then giving a little book review at the end. Now for those of you who don't know, The Great Gatsby is set in New York during the Roaring Twenties. This was a time when, especially among the wealthy, there were a lot of parties and there was a general moral decline. Jay Gatsby, the character for whom this book is named, is a very wealthy man. He has recently come into a large amount of money and he is desperately trying to pursue a girl named Daisy, and I believe it leads him on a self-destructive path. So I'll get to reading, and once I'm about a third of the way through this book, I'll come back and share my thoughts. So guys, I'm a third of the way through this book now, and it's not my favorite. The first 40 pages of this book are so boring. It is a ton of conversations that, while they do build up a little bit of mystery around Gatsby, they don't do a whole lot for the plot. Actually, plot-wise, there isn't really anything going on. The most exciting thing that's happened has been our narrator Nick going over to Gatsby's house for a party and having one very brief encounter with him. So I'm really hoping that the middle picks up, or that the ending is so impactful and epic it makes up for the very slow pace of this novel. However, it hasn't all been bad. The author is quite good at writing descriptions and making you feel like you're right there alongside the narrator. My favorite one has been of when Nick is attending one of Gatsby's parties. The author describes the elegance of this party, the types of people there, and what they're searching for in going to Gatsby's parties when they all barely know this man or they don't know him at all. And he writes it all in a melancholic tone that, despite the extravagance surrounding them, they won't find what they're searching for there. And the author also seems to be implying that all of the material wealth surrounding them won't last. And this book was written in 1925. The crash won't happen for 4 more years, but the author is warning of what is to come. So I'm going to keep reading and I'll keep you guys updated. Alright guys, I am 2/3 of the way through this book now, and it has started picking up a little bit. Gatsby is definitely playing a much larger role in this book than he was before. And Gatsby has started making so many poor choices and sucking Nick into all of them. Like, he invites himself over to Nick's house often. He insists on Nick inviting Daisy over to his house as well. And I'm really not sure why Nick agrees to any of this. He's not that close to Gatsby or Daisy, and he could say no at any time. So I'll keep reading and I'll see how that plays out. Alright guys, I have finally finished this book and I can give an actual review of it now, so let's talk about the characters. Nick's character really reminds me of the character Benjamin from George Orwell's book Animal Farm, because both of these characters see minor problems around them and refuse to do anything about it until it is way too late. As for Gatsby's character, I found him very disappointing when I was reading about him, because the author builds up so much mystery around him in the first half of this book. But once Gatsby starts showing up more frequently in this book and any sort of mystery around him is taken away, he just becomes very boring to read about. As for Daisy's character, I do think she's the character that was done best in this book. Not because she's likable. In all honesty, we barely know anything about her, but I do think that was the point. We read about her from Nick's point of view. Nick has a fairly unbiased view of her because he barely knows her. Every encounter he has with her is similar to how an average person would see her, and we can compare that to how Gatsby sees her. Gatsby has a very romanticized view of her that's just not realistic. So that is something I do believe the author did well. As for the pace of this book, I'm sticking with what I said earlier. It is a very slow, boring book, and it will leave you as the reader zoning out. There is just not enough going on plot-wise to keep you interested. And as for the characters, these aren't characters that you really want to stick around and see what happens to them. Now, for the themes of this book, the author discusses past versus present and how dangerous it is to try to keep reliving past experiences. And he also discusses themes of materialism and how that impacted people during the Roaring Twenties. But overall, do I believe this is a book that is worth reading? I'd say no. While there are aspects that I did like about it, such as the author's descriptions and how he portrays Daisy, it's just not enough to make me want to read this book again. There are plenty of other books out there that have better plots, characters, similar themes. So that is the end of my review. Comment down below if you've read The Great Gatsby, and if so, what your experience with this book was. Thank you for watching. Hope to see you next Friday. Bye.